Excuse me, but would you be Mr. Brown from England by any chance? Conversation 33. Mistaken identity. Excuse me, but would you be Mr. Brown from England by any chance?
Yes, I am.
How do you do, sir? I'm delighted to meet you after hearing so much about you. I hope you had a pleasant journey.
Well, yes, it was very nice.
My name is Glinsky. I'm an assistant at the Research Institute. Professor Winkowski asked me to say how sorry he was he couldn't meet you himself, but he's tied up at a meeting at the Ministry. As I speak English, he has asked me to look after you.
Well, that's very nice of him. But I'm just wondering whether you haven't made...
We've arranged your first lecture for this afternoon. I hope you won't think we've overloaded your timetable, but we'd like you to visit as many centres as possible.
Excuse me, but I think possibly...
Professor Winkowski suggested Advantages and Defects of English Education as the title for this afternoon's lecture. Does that meet your approval?
Well, it sounds all right. But really, Mr. Glinsky...
I wonder whether you would prefer to eat lunch now or wait a little. The lecture's at 5.
I think I'll wait.
In the meantime, then, is there anything you'd like me to see to? Perhaps you need some traveller's checks changed.
No, thanks very much.
If there's anything at all I can do for you, please don't hesitate to say so. I'm entirely at your disposal.
You know, Mr. Glinsky, I really must explain.
Well then, perhaps you might care to come for a short drive round Warsaw with me before lunch.
Mr. Glinsky, you must allow me to explain. No, let me finish. I don't know who this Mr. Brown is whom you're supposed to be meeting, but it isn't me. My name is Brown, too, and I come from England. But that's all.
Good heavens. Aren't you Mr. Alexander Brown, headmaster of Colchington Grammar School?
No, I'm afraid I'm not. I've heard of him, of course, because I'm a teacher, too, as it happens.
Please do forgive me, Mr. Brown. I'm terribly sorry about this mistake.
Oh, never mind. It wasn't serious.
Oh, but this is terrible. What shall we do? I wonder... Mr. Brown, perhaps we could persuade you,
Good Lord. Now I'm really done for. There'll be no escaping this fellow. Yes, what were you saying, Mr. Glinsky?
How do you do, sir? I'm delighted to meet you. I hope you've had a pleasant journey. Professor Winkowski has asked me to look after you. He asked me to say how sorry he was he couldn't meet you himself. Conversation 34. A visit to Barbara.
Come in, Jane. Come in, Robert. I'm so glad you're able to come. Andrei's in the bathroom washing nappies. He'll come out and be introduced in a minute.
Do Polish husbands help in the house? I thought they would be old-fashioned and insist on being looked after by their wives. At least, that's what I've always been told.
Well, things are changing. Nowadays, when wives go out to work, some of the housework has to be taken over by the husband.
And I always believed that only English husbands help their wives.
Well, Andrei's rather unusual. In fact, we are quite the most talked about couple in this block. You see, my exams are fairly soon, so just lately he's been doing nearly all the work in the house and looking after the baby as well. We can't afford to pay anyone, you see.
I should think not. In England, only really rich people can afford servants these days.
And now I'm going to bring you some real English tea with milk.
Can we come and help you?
Oh, no, it's all been attended to. It has to be brought in, that's all. Andrzej, tea's ready. Oh, there you are. Robert, Jane, this is Andrzej.
How do you do?
How
How do you do?
These pastries look simply delicious. Were they made by Angie as well?
Good heavens, no. What gave you that idea? I'm an architect, not a baker.
Some of this furniture was designed by him. Tell me, do you like our flat?
Very much. Especially this room. It has that nice, comfortable, lived-in look, without being overcrowded.
I'm glad you like it. We're very lucky, you know. This block is an experimental one that was taken over and furnished by the ZMS. When we were allotted a flat here, we nearly went wild with joy. It only has one disadvantage.
What's that?
It's been so much written about in the press that we have a constant stream of visitors from all over Poland asking to be shown round.
I hope you won't mind showing us round too.
Of course not, but after tea.
I thought Polish husbands would insist on being looked after. That's what I've always been told.
Some of the housework has to be taken over by the husband. We're the most talked about couple in this block. Now I'm going to bring you some real English tea. Conversation 35. An afternoon in the country.
We must stop here and get out. It's absolutely lovely. Just what we were looking for.
But why? There's nothing here but fields.
That's just it. I've never seen such open fields. Just ripe yellow wheat as far as you can see.
Well, what's so surprising about that?
Our fields are usually much smaller, and they're separated from each other by hedges. That's what Jane was thinking of.
Do let's walk across the fields.
I don't think we ought to. 5 of us could do a lot of damage.
Well, let's go into the wood then.
All right. There's no reason why we shouldn't stop here if we want to.
How deserted it is. In England you rarely get this feeling of being right in the heart of the country.
If we are lucky, we'll find bilberries. It's the right time of year.
What are bilberries?
What? You've never heard of bilberries? They're small and blue and very juicy. Ah, here we are. I thought we'd find some.
They are good. We should take some back for supper.
I intend to. Come on, let's get busy picking, shall we?
Well, I'm not going to. I just want to relax. This tree looks just right to go to sleep under. What a lovely woody smell.
There's a lake here as well, you know. Big enough to swim in. What about it?
Are we allowed to?
Well, there's no sign saying we can't. Are you coming, Maggie?
I'd love to. I'll just change. You know, this really is a heavenly spot to picnic in. Why don't we stay here for the rest of the afternoon?
Yes. We don't really have to go on, do we?
Of course we don't have to if we don't want to. We might as well stop here as anywhere.
Jim certainly means to anyway. He seems to be fast asleep already.
You can't imagine how much we're enjoying this, Barbara. This is all so natural and unspoilt.
You know, this is just what I've always dreamed of. It really was a wonderful idea of yours, Robert, this holiday.
We must stop here and get out. It's absolutely lovely.
There's no reason why we shouldn't stop here if we want to.
We should take some bilberries back for supper.
I intend to. Conversation 36. In a cafe.
Hello, Jim. Where have you been all the morning?
Barbara took me round a school and showed me over a housing estate. I've only just got back.
Then you won't have seen Maggie and Jane. I wonder what's happened to them. They disappeared just after breakfast, muttering something about souvenirs.
But they only bought some dolls yesterday. Well, I suppose that means we have a free afternoon. What shall we do?
Let's think about it over a cup of coffee. I haven't had anything to eat since breakfast. Will this place do?
Yes, it seems all right. Look, there's a free table in the corner. By the way, Robert, I've bought a guide to Warsaw in English. We can have a look at it and decide where to go.
Where did you get it? I was looking for something like that myself.
At that big bookshop over there. Now, here we are. Teatr Polski. We're going there this evening to see Hamlet. I bought the tickets this morning.
You know, I haven't been to a production of Hamlet for ages. It'll be interesting to see how it comes across in a foreign language.
Barbara says this Polish production is the best one she's seen.
If the play starts at 7, we haven't got so very much time to spare. What about taking a stroll along Krucha Street?
What do you want to do there?
I thought we might go and chew some records at Polskie Nagrania.
Oh, I don't know, Robert. You can go there on your own tomorrow. What about going to a barber's now? I haven't had a decent shave since we left London.
I've been already. I went after breakfast. I tell you what. Let's go to that archaeological exhibition Barbara told us about. I believe it's not far from here.
But won't Maggie and Jane want to see that as well? We'd better leave that for tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're driving out to Żelazowa Wola.
Yes, and the day after we're leaving. It's a pity we didn't arrange to meet the women somewhere. We could have gone to the museum together. Of course, we might go and look for them. I've a good idea where they'll be.
You know, old man, it's awfully hot in the sun. Why don't we just stay here a bit longer and watch all the girls walk by? Remarkable how many pretty girls there are in Warsaw.
Yes, let's do that. What a pity we're not staying a bit longer. Standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by.
Where have you been all the morning?
Barbara took me round to school. I've only just got back.
I wonder what's happened to Maggie and Jane. They disappeared just after breakfast. Conversation 37. Farewells.
Goodbye, Barbara. I wish we didn't have to leave already.
We've had a wonderful 4 days here, thanks to you. I'm only sorry we can't stay longer.
Perhaps we could stop for another couple of days on our way back.
I wish we could, but it's out of the question, I'm afraid. Jane and I have to get back to the office, you know. We've taken a week's unpaid leave as it is.
I wish we'd asked old Jenkins for another week, but I don't suppose he would have agreed.
Well, you'll just have to come again next year. There's so much I haven't shown you yet.
But we managed to cram a lot into 4 days. I've got a whole notebook full of notes. Enough for at least 6 articles.
And I've got enough material for at least 12 geography lessons. I'll take Poland as a special subject next year.
But there are so many more places I should have taken you to. We didn't go to Kraków, and I wish I could have shown you Mazowsze.
We'll come again. If not next year, then the year after. And next time, we'll feel quite at home.
Why, did you feel strange at first this time?
Well, yes. Poland seems such a long way off, and we had some rather funny ideas about it. You see, we were worried about the food and about it being too hot.
And Maggie was afraid about the customs.
You know, I had some queer ideas about England, too.
Yes, you thought it would be foggy all the time.
Oh, yes, and you never did see a typical English fog, did you, Barbara?
It wasn't just the weather. You see, I believed English people were all very stiff and formal.
And aren't we?
You know you aren't.
It's strange, this idea people have about the English.
Well, people all over the world have very funny ideas about other countries, even their next-door neighbors. Look at the English and the French. That's why I'm really very glad we came on this holiday.
You see, Jim, how right we were to persuade you.
Seriously, Barbara, we had a wonderful time, and we'll certainly be back. Thank you again. And don't forget to write to us in England.
I won't, and you'll write too, won't you?
Of course. Goodbye, Barbara.
Goodbye.
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 We've had a wonderful 4 days here. I'm only sorry we can't stay longer.
You'll just have to come again next year. There's so much I haven't shown you yet. There are so many more places I should have taken you to.
We'll come again. If not next year, then the year after.